We are almost to the summer's biggest event, and that is, of course, Maddoxslam. And since I feel like it, I'm going to do the review differently this week. I'm going to do it in a 20 questions format. Hope you like it. If you don't, hey, bear with it. It's only for 1 week. You can answer some of the questions that I pose down below if you want. If not, that's fine. But 20 questions pertaining to this week's Raw. Let's see how this goes. Do you remember just 3 short years ago when Wade Barrett was involved in a main event storyline and actually main evented SummerSlam 2010? My oh my, how much Wade Barrett's character has fallen in 3 years. It's very sad, frankly. I get the whole concept and idea of why this match kicked off Raw. It was something, I'll say that. Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan, I get it. I understand what it's trying to set up later in the night. My only other question about this opening match, this opening segment for Raw, is does that count as Wade Barrett's signature victory in his entire WWE career? Money in the Bank winner versus Money in the Bank winner. It's almost good enough to make it a pay-per-view match at Maddoxslam, except you've got Damien Sandow and Cody Rhodes in a phenomenal storyline right now. But Randy Orton versus Damien Sandow. First question for this one, did Orton turn heel on Raw last week or not? I don't know. Maybe they were planting the seeds for it. You know, maybe it's starting the process of it happening. I posed a question on Facebook while watching Raw Monday night, and I was just wondering, you know, it seemed kind of odd to me if they were turning him heel to have him sit there and come back the next week on Raw and face another heel. The other question I have is, how come in this case Cody Rhodes is perfectly okay for a babyface to help out the other babyface in victory? Usually it's the heel that would help the heel, so you know, that confused me too, why Cody Rhodes would be able to help Randy Orton, like Randy Orton would need it over Damien Sandow. You know, you could have just had this match finish in like a wash or some other type of DQ finish. Nobody had to go over clean here, but you know, Randy Orton's their Money in the Bank guy, so I shouldn't really be that surprised that he went over here, frankly. A big popular topic of conversation on the interwebs on Tuesday was what happened in the mixed tag match, and ultimately the question was raised, does the ref deserve all the blame in this? Now, number one, he's not Justin King. If you have Justin King involved in Divas matches, things like this don't happen in Divas matches. However, when you look at the footage, you clearly could see Natalya let go of the hold before AJ Lee tapped, leaving the ref in a very bad spot. Now, maybe there are things he could have done better, but then Natalya goes up, even though she didn't hear the bell ring, even though he didn't signal to her that she had won, she obviously lost sight of something, and she goes over and puts her hand in his hand and says, like to raise my hand. No, bitch, the match isn't over. This is, oh my God. How do you screw up the most important part of a match to finish this badly? And then, of course, it doesn't help when you have the commentators trying to blame the ref and all of this and all of that. You know, maybe you could have sat there and made something out of this by saying Natalya was reckless and she was dumb and she was stupid for not knowing what was going on and not paying attention and thinking she had the match won and letting go of the submission maneuver, before her opponent had actually tapped. Instead, you do the stupid thing, you blame the ref, and now you got a bunch of idiots on the internet trying to blame the ref for everything when clearly it's not all his fault. There's a big segment involving Vince McMahon, our hero Brad Maddox, and eventually Triple H. Now, the whole subject comes up over whether or not Brad Maddox can be in a fair and impartial referee at the event that bears his name, Maddoxslam. Now, you know, when you look at it, you see what happened earlier in the night, you get what they were trying to imply and set up, but it's just one of those things where Brad Maddox is too awesome and too quick for mere mortals to be able to keep up, so as a result, his count appears to be, you know, a bit fast. But why is Brad Maddox not able to be the referee at Maddoxslam in the WWE Championship match? The event has his name on it. You know, he's a fair and impartial referee. He was very fair for Ryback versus CM Punk, and he was very fair for Wade Barrett versus Daniel Bryan. He can be the referee and do a fair and impartial job. Now, when Triple H, of course, does what men with tremendous egos do, and that's butt in where they have no freaking business butting in, and he appoints himself the referee. Last time I checked, he's the COO, but isn't Vince the chairman of the board? So he could just overrule Triple H. You would think, anyways, Triple H might have some power, but Vince has the ultimate power, so he could just overrule him. For some reason, he didn't. Didn't make much sense to me, frankly. Why is Titus O'Neil jobbing? And when his tag team partner, Darren Young, is out there, why didn't Darren Young help at all in the match with Kane? Couldn't you have just had Darren Young interfere? You know, maybe Kane could even then perhaps wipe both of them out. You know, Titus O'Neil's jobbing, Darren Young's not helping. So you got baby faces help other baby faces, but the characters that are supposed to be helping and cheating, the heels, aren't doing it. Something's amiss here in the WWE and their logic train. And then the other question I have about this. What point is there to have a Ring of Fire match at Maddoxslam between Kane and Bray Wyatt if the purpose of the match is not to set the opponent on fire? If you're going to do something like this to keep the other guys out, either do one of two things. Either have a steel cage match or do it something like old school, like they used to do in the NWA, where you would suspend maybe the two members of the Wyatt family in a cage above the ring. A Ring of Fire match, and the point of it's not to set people on fire. What are you going to sit there and do? Put like little paper flames up there and be like, ooh, that's hot, that's hot. Get the fuck out of here. I'm looking forward to the match between Kane and Bray Wyatt, but I do think it's pretty stupid to have a Ring of Fire match just for the fuck all of it, because it really doesn't even call for it storyline-wise at this point. ADR versus Kofi Kingston. This match was actually kind of sad to me. Why does Kofi Kingston not get much of a reaction? WWE, you have yourselves, and frankly, only yourselves to blame. This guy should by now, at the very worst, be a very established, very popular mid-card star. And supposedly, reportedly, you're looking to try and create a black babyface star, somebody that could be equivalent to a Rey Mysterio. Well, duh, here's one great possibility, Kofi Kingston. So he's gone for a little while. You don't make any big deal about him returning at all, and then you start having him job. Duh, that seems like a good idea. Another thing, does ADR really do it for anyone as a World Heavyweight Champion? He doesn't for me. And do you think Christian is really going to be successful in his one more match at Maddoxslam? All I'll say is, please, God, Triple H, please make it happen. I know one individual in particular that would be very pleased if it happened, no matter what he would come on camera and say. Michael knows he wants Christian to be World Heavyweight Champion one more time. Since when is Miz TV controversial? I hate when the WWE throws out this term of controversial with totally losing sight of what controversial actually is. ECW was controversial. The Big Show, Big Boss Man storyline was controversial. Characters like Jake the Snake Roberts, Brian Pillman, Stone Cold Steve Austin, they were controversial. Miz TV is anything but controversial. Roddy Piper, especially Piper's Pit, controversial. John Cena's controversial. Get the fuck out of here. There's nowhere near the right use for that word at all. Now, to me, the John Cena, Daniel Bryan, Miz TV segment, it was definitely the segment of the night. You know, the best Miz TV segment there's been. Not that there's been a lot. But just how good was this John Cena, Daniel Bryan segment? Well, I will say this. It was starting to be, it started off okay. Then it started to, you know, kind of get to that point, especially when Cena was rambling like he tends to do sometimes and gets kind of off track. It was getting to that point to me where I was starting to really get disinterested and they were starting to lose me and I was about to go take a crap. However, the last few minutes of the segment were really good. Cut out all the bullshit. John Cena got very serious. Daniel Bryan got very serious. You know, this was very refreshing, too, to have two baby faces be serious like this, cutting out the kiddie, corny PG crap. And they both had a reason. You know, Daniel Bryan saying John Cena is a parody of wrestling. He's not really a wrestler like Daniel Bryan is. And John Cena says, what the fuck do you think I've been doing for the past 10, 11 damn years? This was really good shit. It was laced with elements of truth in a work type of manner. Very, very well done. I thought both guys, when you got down to it, did an outstanding job here. This match did a lot to get me, and I'm sure many others, excited for their match at Maddoxslam. But why did Triple H have to come out? We know he's God. We know he's the ref. He really didn't do anything. We didn't really need God out there for this one. I mean, he made it possible to have this segment anyways. We know this, so he just didn't need to come out. It was just kind of dumb and confusing. It really was. It was just left me scratching my head. Orton coming out made a little more sense because he is the Money in the Bank winner, but Triple H, eh.
3 things Smokey don't do. Number 1, let anybody give him a bath. Nah, man, I clean myself, because that's what a big boy do. Number 2, I don't do diets. Yeah, too much big, gray, and sexy. Besides, the ladies love me like this. You damn right. And number 3, I don't allow no doggies, inducers, and fours. It's a cats-only club. All this shit about hashtag let summer in. Man, fuck y'all. Yeah, anyways, on the more important things, where the fuck that dog at? Better keep that bitch away from me. Question number 1 for Smokey. Who will be WWE champion after Maddoxslam? The correct answer is Daniel goddamn Bryan. That's who, motherfucker. Number 2 for Smokey. Who should have become the number 1 contender to Dean Ambrose in the United States title? Mark motherfucking Henry, of course. What a surprise. Rob Van Dam and his 300 stoner friends that are all excited about this, probably all happy, but nobody else give a fuck. Yeah, fuck Rob Van Dam. Another racist conspiracy. But that's okay. While you sitting there tiptoeing around and playing around on the pre-show, motherfucking Mark Henry gonna be on the main card at SummerSlam. Yeah, gonna fuck that Shield up. You damn right. Why? Because that's what he do. That's what he do.
Now, as far as the main event of Raw, this CM Punk, Paul Heyman street fight that kind of never really materialized, was I the only one that was just a little bit maybe disappointed or left with a little bit of a blah feeling about the end of the show? You know, maybe I was expecting too much of it. I don't really know. It didn't give me the best like end of show feeling for Raw. It really didn't. As far as this show overall, was it a good go-home show before Maddoxslam? Yo, honestly, I've seen a lot worse offerings from the WWE. I did think in general that this was a pretty solid go-home show. I made it through all 3 hours. You know, didn't have a ton of complaints. I sounded like I had a lot of complaints because of some of the questions I asked, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're complaints. I was relatively pleased with this show, and it did a good job, ultimately, of entertaining me this week and also getting me a little bit more excited for the pay-per-view. So that, by my measurements, makes this a good, effective go-home Raw for this week.